Hey everyone, it's Bob. Sorry it's been such a long time before we put a video together, but been busy. Got that 10-acre ranch, putting fences around it and building sheds and shingling and all kind of other stuff. So man, it's taken away from all the things that I love, but we're working towards being able to spend more time, money, and effort into gold mining. Big part of that is having some ability out in the desert, so that's why we got these 250 Rhinos by Tao Tao. It's July 2017. We picked these up in March of this year, and taking into consideration that I work 5 weeks out of town and I'm 2 weeks here, it's not like we've put these things through the ringer since March. And they sat up a good while. The only real issue I had was with my unit, this one right here. We always try to run when we're going to put them up before I go to work, we try to run the engines with the fuel valve, supply valve off, and we kind of run all the fuel out of the bowl. Alec didn't do that to this, and it wound up sitting 5 weeks with fuel in the bowl. And as you know, the ethyl alcohol in the fuel is no good for these carburetors. So I had to get back, couldn't get it started, so I pulled the carb, washed it out, took it apart, rinsed it out, made sure all the jets were clear, put it back in, started right up again. It was a valuable lesson for him to learn. But one thing about, we tried to find some gas stations around town that sold ethylene-free fuel, and I don't know, I wound up in some speed shops and they're trying to sell me $15 a gallon, and I'm not going to do all that. So we'll just make sure that whenever we put these things up, we'll make sure that there's no fuel in the bowl. Something else that bothered me about this unit from day one is these plastic covers that go on the storage racks, especially in the back here. It always made this slapping noise. The plastic itself slapped against the metal frame that it's screwed onto. And finally this morning I went and got some weather proof material. Actually it was one side sticky, it's a foam, and use it for weather stripping, I guess. And I took this cover off, and I took a few strips of that weather stripping, and I put them along this bar right here. And for the most part, it's not making the noise anymore. So that's I get to hear the engine without the distraction of plastic slapping around. I went around, tightened things up. Air in the tires. I had to top everything off yesterday. We took them out, and once we got them cranking, man, it's just getting these things started every now and again and using them. So we had, I don't want to say a tough time. We had to go around getting Alex started, but I wound up just putting jumper cables on there because that kid just run the battery and until it's dead. And finally I just said, stop it, let's start from A to B, make sure that the cutoff switch is not engaged, so on and so forth. Make sure that there's actually fuel coming from the tank past the cutoff valve and to the carburetor. And once we put the jumper cables onto a big old car battery, it started right up. And once we got adjusted the choke and we got everything blown out, we took them out on the desert, on the trail last night in the desert. Probably about an hour, and not a problem one. Nobody got caught. We had a lot of fun. Still have to mess with this rear seat. I don't know, that latch is not lined up real well. But for the most part, I mean, I've gotten a few. I keep getting a few requests on the channel. People asking, am I still happy with them? I am. Mind you, I've never had a Japanese Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha, Polaris ATV. or a Can-Am. It's always been Chinese. And like I always tell people, if you're not mechanically inclined, and this, you might as well just spend the extra money and get it. But if you don't mind sorting yourself out and making sure things are right, taking a car apart, cleaning it, swapping out some components here and there, and playing with it, then you're going to save a lot of money. I don't know about getting a four-wheel drive unit, but this whole thing here, there's a lot I want to do to it. I really haven't used it for prospecting yet. Wanted to kind of get it out to where I can start climbing up some hills and getting in and out of some washes to see how well it does. We did that on my property a few months ago, and when Alec and I went shooting, and we took both of these out, and it had no problems. Good thing about it, manual transmission. A lot of people say they hate the manual transmission, but I got this specifically for that. I have the Rocetta 150. We brought it. I don't know how often I've used it out in Stanton when we were gold mining. That's just when you're getting up something a little bit steeper. You just want to be able to downshift in one, and then whether or not this thing can make it out of there. When you got that automatic transmission, you got one speed, and it's definitely not geared to climb out of some dry creek beds or up some hillsides. This did better, and it's heavier, and the engine's bigger as well. So anyway, I want to try to figure out how to attach the camera, even if I got to hold it myself. And we're going to take this thing out, and y'all can watch it do its thing.